Let's get to it here today. It was great to, just sort of feel. I mean, we're thousands, I don't know how many, 1,500 miles away from Florida, but to feel, whether you saw it on TV or here on WIP, some audio of the Phils this spring, just to feel the baseball thing. To hear it, if you saw it on the news, literally the popping of the glove with the baseball, Zach Wheeler's firing it in there, 95 miles an hour, and it's good. To me, it's a great feeling. Hope springs eternal, and certainly this year there are, to use a often used Phillies term, high hopes, obviously, with this baseball team, with how good we believe they are, and what they've put out there the last couple of years. There also, though, is, for the first time since near the end of their last good stretch, if you remember, they win it all in 2008, 2009, they come close. They lose in Game 6 to the Yankees. 2010, they lose to the Giants. We start getting frustrated. 2011, they lose to the Cardinals. We're more frustrated. And we've seen this before in Philadelphia sports where a team loses in the postseason, and then you start having a different taste in your mouth. And frankly, it can impact the way you sort of embark on a new season emotionally. We've seen it with the Eagles. John was part of the Donovan Dawk crew, where it's like, yep, you're really good, but, we also know you let us down at the end last year. We saw it with the Lindros-Leclerc group. Great hockey team. But, would not win in the end. And then at the start of the next year, you get a lot of that. Here we go again. Now,
it was the frustration had grown to the degree that the moment I arrived in 2003, it was
Right.
March 2003.
Yep.
I'd signed as an unrestricted free agent, and I'm here to do the off-season workout program. And everyone, the first thing they say is Super Bowl. When? Why? How are you getting to the
Right.
Super Bowl? The Super Bowl is the expectation. Super Bowl. I couldn't get over that.
Tough
I couldn't
standard.
believe that everyone was skipping over so much that had to take place
Right.
before the Super Bowl.
No, that's that. I remember it. It's true. So here's the deal. It's a little bit about looking forward, clearly, because I wonder if that same sort of standard has set in for us as Phillies fans as it relates to next October, meaning what is that? About 8 months from now. But what I also wonder even more about today, and I want to hear from you at 215-592-9494. I really wonder if we're over how it ended last October. Last year, many, and I think many can easily be defined as millions, had an extremely, extremely strong reaction to the Phillies' playoff loss. On the tepid side, it would be referred to as a heartbreak. On the more aggressive side, it would be referred to as a collapse. On the more aggressive side, it would be referred to as a disgrace. And really the thing that set in motion a lot, in my opinion, and I feel really confident in this, there was a lot of people angry with how it ended last October. Now, let me be clear. I was not one of them, but I would say most people were. We had polls about, how do you feel? And anger was one of the main things. And almost resentment started kicking in. And I personally found it a little strange. It didn't vibe with me. I immediately was more of the mindset of appreciation of those 3 weeks in October and the joy that I felt for most of the minutes in October. But obviously the last couple of days were brutal. I mean, there is no escaping that reality. It was brutal. I mean, to have a 2-0 lead, to know they were 2 games from the World Series, 6 games from winning the World Series, then to have a 3-2 lead. Again, now you're 1 game away from getting to the World. By the way, Game 6 and 7 back here in Philly, which he was like, oh, got it. And then they didn't have it. So I'm curious at 215-592-9494, really more than anything on an emotional level, as a new campaign is embarking. They're doing the spring training thing, soon to be spring training games. Soon thereafter will be the start of the regular season. I ask you today at 215-592-9494, are you over it emotionally? Are you ready to turn the page? Or also, here's another part of it. Does the way it ended last year, does it leave a lingering taste in your mouth, even if you kind of convince yourself to try to get over it, or you actually do get over it? Are they now dealing with the Donovan and Dawk, the Lindros, yeah, guys, I appreciate you, but it's time for you to win it all? Because those teams, those eras, were dealing with that. John, there's a lot on the table here. Let's start with last October. You over it?
Yeah, I am. I'm past it. I'm through it. I myself, my teams have lost a lot of very painful games, maybe that like steels me against this to some degree, but I've put it past me. I'm excited. I can't wait to experience what's right on the horizon here because they've got so much personality and we've grown to, love and appreciate that personality. It's like a friend coming home. It is. We get to meet a friend again who's been away for a while. I can't wait to get to know them more and learn more about each guy and watch even better baseball this year while I get to know the guys and the team. It's taken on a whole new level of appreciation. And that's where I sit. I don't think I'm crossing it weird and letting sports cross-pollinate either. I know, Joe, that you talk a lot about, the Eagles, the disappointment, crossing over to the Phillies and vice versa.
Absolutely.
It doesn't work quite the same way for me. The Phils failing to reach as far, last year, that stinks. That was a failed attempt. That does ring hollow. It hurts but I do think that can make our nucleus better and they can get better soon and these guys do just get it and by all accounts it sounds like they're going to re-sign our dominator in Zach Wheeler, which is right.
Well, we'll
and
see.
It feels good. We'll see. Yeah. It makes all the sense in the world,
well,
and they're talking about it. They're out in the open about it.
Negotiating.
I just have a really good feeling like it's going to happen.
Fair enough.
I'm super ready to roll Phillies, and last year's disappointment doesn't mar my appreciation of John Middleton's continued spending. That's a big factor as well. I believe this baseball team has a president of baseball operations in Dave Dombrowski who knows exactly what he's doing, knows exactly what we need to do to get where we want to go. And the spending part, the fact that we were so willing with Yamamoto, that bodes really well. Whatever happens,
it does.
Whatever happens this season through injury and rest and the rest and everything, the ups and downs, we know as a fan base that spending is available. That's a good feeling. For when you start out this talented and you got that sort of deep pocket in your back pocket, it's a good. And they'll spend if they need to. They'll spend into stupid territory if it's the right player. So I feel great about this team because Dombrowski's pinning his ears back to go win us a world championship, and I don't doubt him. I feel really ready to go have fun with this team, and it's going to be a really good team along the way. And I'm going to do my best to try to take a larger world view as I watch the Phillies this year. I think I get very myopic. I get frustrated with an individual game, and I get, these Phils. The relievers, we got no bullpen. I'm going to try to zoom out and be more realistic.
They have had their flaws. I will say they have put us through some agitation the last couple regular seasons. Mm-hmm. For as great as October, I mean, let's be real. They played at a better clip in October than they did in April through September the last 2 years.
No doubt.
I mean, I remember two years ago when they marched to Game 6 of the World Series and had that 2-1 lead in the World Series at one point. They were at one point, I believe, 11-3 before they then lost 3 in a row, and they finished that postseason 11-6. But they weren't winning. 11-3 wasn't what they were in the regular. They weren't winning 11 out of every 14 games in the regular season, and so you do wonder: are they more the regular season team that has been, an 80 whatever they were, 87, 88 type win team, 89, or are they this sort of juggernaut postseason team that they've been for most of the postseason, but again losing in the end? And losing in the end twice when they had a lead. You know what's one to me, and again, I want to hear from everyone at 215-592-9494. If, as we gear up for another baseball season, if you are emotionally over last year, or if that anger, resentment, bitterness, whatever you want to call it, if it still lingers for you, and again, I'm clear of it, but I was clear of it quick. Here to me is maybe the litmus test for this whole conversation. And it might sound ridiculous to talk about a song, but I don't think it is. I actually believe the song Dancing on My Own is actually the litmus test for this topic. And I'm really curious from everyone today at 215-592-9494 if you think the Phillies should dump Dancing on My Own, which I heard a lot of people say in November. When they got eliminated at the end of October, I heard a lot of people say, that's it! Done with Dancing on My Own. It was fun while it lasted. But 2 years in a row, they ran into a brick wall. I'm done with it, and they should be done with it. And I heard of that from a lot of people. Now, I also heard from some people, I'd say less than 50%, no, that's our song. That's their song. That's awesome. That's what they vibe to. That's what they party to. That's what they celebrate to. That's what we celebrate with them to when they show up at Xfinity Live. Like they clinch a game, they win a game, or they clinch a series, and they're in South Philly, and there's 1,000 people partying at Xfinity Live, and there's hundreds of thousands or millions watching it on TV, listening here on WIP. And if you see that visual on TV, you see the players on television, like literally in the crowd with the fans at Xfinity Live, an hour and a half after a game, and Dancing on My Own is playing, and people say, no, that's this era. I want it. Even though they lost the last couple of years with that as a central point of sort of their thing. Look, I would keep it. But there it is. There it is. But I'm really curious if for you it's a keep or a dump. Because I heard a lot of people, a lot more say dump than keep. Talk to me here today at 215-592-9494 about all this. As John alluded to, we'll get into the Zach Wheeler thing. We'll get into the Hassan Reddick thing. We'll get into the Flyers with a new captain and more. But the Phillies, it is great, great, great to have the Phillies back in front of his spring training, soon to be the regular season. How do you feel as a Phillies fan, given everything? The joy of the last 2 Octobers, but running into a brick wall at the end of both of them. How do you feel now? 215-592-9494. A lot going on here today. Your phone calls. Joe DeCamara and Jon Ritchie. It is 94 WIP.